Hello, welcome to Israel, Mayor. Hi to both my Israeli fellows. I want to start, Paul, with you. As an expert on cyber, on the new world, on what's going on, start from, even the academic level. Why do we gather so much information, everybody? And is it essential? Or it became something that we became addicted to?
Well,
Take the other one.
yeah. Well, first of all, we should understand that the world that we are living in today is a world of data. Data means everything. It becomes a target, and furthermore, it could become even a weapon. In order to achieve our different goals, no matter in what sector or in what issue, you need data. And it brings us to the point that even to leverage the security level and to do it more efficient, you should deal with data in order to get to the point that you could tell the story out of the data. And the best way to get your goal is to deal with as much data as you can, because the data could accurate your research and bring you to the point that you could understand what happens, even if you have no clue at the beginning point. So data is everything. If I'll take it a little bit further, so the next question should be, okay, you are dealing with a lot of data, how you collect it, how you are protecting it, and how you are preventing abusement of so many data.
So we'll elaborate on that a bit later. Mayor Klitschko, sorry to interfere. What are you come from a city that was attacked cyber-wise, and your tools were used against you, so you know how dangerous it is. How do you keep the safety of your citizens on one hand and prevent your enemies from attacking you on the other hand?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm very happy to participate. The convention is very good. It's very important. Right now, the big representation of city of Ukraine, 7 mayors from different city, and more than 20 representatives from Ukraine come to this convention. Is very important. It's signal how important for us, for Ukraine right now. Also the point of security. Security is important not just for Ukraine, worldwide is the main point, and one of the important point in Ukraine, as you know, signed 2014. It's aggression in east of Ukraine, annexion of Crimea, and also the wish to destabilize situation in our country. And security is the main point, and in this way we actually starting to do it a lot. So interesting. 3 years ago I was here in Israel, in Tel Aviv. I visiting office of mayor of Tel Aviv. I was really surprised how work security. I was very interested, and I was very surprised how work security in Tel Aviv. They represent me data center. They represent me video security, and actually the main point was in Ukraine after visit of Israel to do it exactly the same very effective system for security our citizens. It's no secret. It's just in 2015, 2016, over 1,000 calls regarding bombing attack. We have to
In Kiev.
In Kiev, and thanks God, everything was fake calls. We have to block everything to check everything, and we doesn't find. And also, everybody from beginning, everybody was skeptical. Also, opposition told the safe city. We call it a part of smart city. We developed safe city. Is pretty expensive. We bought so many video cameras and fiber glasses, and it's not a cheap toy. But 2 years ago, some woman from private reason kidnapped small baby from preschool. The woman doesn't know it's every preschool and every school already with video cameras, with face identification, and we implement the system exactly the same system what actually works successfully here in Tel Aviv, in our hometown in Kiev. In a couple of hours, we see the same woman. She bought the Pampers in the pharmacy. In 6 hours, the kid, the baby, bring back to parents. And after that, nobody talk, no critic anymore about the system. Everybody understand how effective this work.
But I want to ask you, how do you make sure that you do not abuse the system? Because you can, as you said, you can get every information about everyone at all time. And I mentioned before, Big Brother. How do you prevent yourself from becoming a Big Brother?
No, it's we have just public places with video cameras, officials' buildings, centers where a lot of people, also metro station, bus station. It's all public places. We install the video cameras, and it's help. It's help a lot. I give you just numbers. I can emotionally explain about that. The numbers doesn't have emotions. The crime situation in Kyiv to compare last year to compare to 2017 is smaller than reducing 56%.
Wow.
I, as mayor, deliver messages for everyone, for every citizen. If you just think to break the rules, you have to be sure we identify you, we find you, and you take responsibility for your illegal activity. I repeat this message many, many times. And we have a lot of examples. Please, don't break the rules. In our city, you definitely take responsibility.
Yes.
It's very important, and it's the crime situation reduced in more than 50% is good result of how it's work.
Dr. Altshuler, I want to ask you, we speak of private and public and about gathering information. So preventing terrorism and crime, it's obvious and you should do everything to do it. But still, it is so easy to gather information in 2019. By all ways, everybody knows about you. You can start from, from our medical systems to other educational systems to governments. And I'm not talking about social engineering and things that experts do. I mean, we are naked. So you're the objective part in this in this panel. How naked are we? How dangerous is it? And how do you balance that situation to make us safe on one hand and free on the other hand?
Okay, thank you so much. It's really nice to be here. Good afternoon, everyone. So you're trying to imply that privacy is dead, right?
Privacy
Well,
is dead.
let me offer a slightly different look at that because, to my opinion, not only it's I think is it absolutely wrong, but rather that privacy is a major human right, maybe the queen of human rights in the digital age. And I want to open up by referring to two examples. One is the one that the Honorable Mayor has offered, which is surveillance cameras in kindergartens. A very well justified measure to prevent abuse of little kids. Sometimes you can even find a lost baby, or maybe even in worse cases. But what if we take, and I'm not talking about pedophiles getting into the systems, oh no. What if we take all those videos and give them to an AI system and actually starting to create a scoring system for 3 years old? We can learn so much from that. We can actually predict the future of those kids. We can decide which one of them is going to go to preschool, which one is going to go, maybe we should send him to, the jail already. And I feel that we are not aware enough of social impact of such a system. The other example I wanted to give was to actually mention a woman called Anne Kavokian. Anne Kavokian was the director of privacy for Alphabet Sidewalk Labs Smart Neighborhoods project in Toronto. She worked for Google, actually, and she resigned last October saying that she was sure that all the projects that they were working on were supposed to be based on anonymized data. She wasn't aware of the fact that some of it was going to be re-anonymized or de-anonymized, and therefore she decided to resign. And in her letter, she implied that she thought they were starting to create smart city of surveillance. So the core question here is how exactly do we foster innovation while seeing privacy not as an obstacle, but rather as a human right, as a basic human right? And if you can give me just 2 seconds just to open up a little bit about this idea, and then we can refer to specifics later. We feel really attacked because people are gathering data about us all over the place. It could be the major platforms, it could be governments, it could be anyone else. The only thing we need, or we think we need to do in order to protect ourselves, is to enhance our control, our personal control over our data. This is what the GDPR is all about, actually, strengthening our control, our personal control over our data. The data is ours. We have the right to erase it. We have the right to transfer it to a different company. We have the right to correct it. We have the right to be forgotten, and so forth. But we don't understand something, I think, which is very crucial. We've passed this a point where we can leave the responsibility for privacy on each person's shoulders. This is a collective, maybe a social matter. And the reason for that is the fact that our personal data can be used in order to create psychographic profiles about us. It's not only where we are sending or we're taking our garbage out and collecting the garbage via smart systems. It's not only security. It's the fact that, for example, in a municipality, the mayor can know so much about me. They can know what licenses I was asking for. They can know whether I paid my bills on time.
Is it good or bad?
No, I'm just saying it is. I'm not saying
No,
whether
you're saying it exists, but I'm asking you as an expert, is it good or bad?
So what I'm trying to imply here is the fact that those psychographic profiles that can be created about us can actually be used in order to create traps on our autonomy. They can be created in order to deliver well-targeted messages and actually influence our minds. And once this can happen, there's no democracy. The story that we tell ourselves about our autonomy, our being able to make decisions, actually we're sending it away. And once there's no democracy, There's not going to be innovation, because in a society where you can't be creative, where you don't have any other human rights, you really, really are in the trouble. So to sum this idea up, I think that we need to start looking at privacy even in the context of smart cities, from a more social, collective perspective, and not only from an individual one. And from there, we need to start developing, first of all, the digital literacy, which is so important in order to understand the risks and the opportunities, and also the systems. And what I'm saying, what I'm trying to say here is that just as in the GDPR, there's a new notion called privacy by design, which means designing data systems and computer systems with privacy in mind. The same thing should be applied to the whole smart cities, idea. So we need to plan smart cities with privacy in mind and not seeing privacy as an obstacle. That would be fine for now, right?
Okay, yeah, it's perfect. Mayor Klitschko, how much do you want to know about your citizens? How much information do you want to have about them?
Yes, of course. It's the discussion where is the privacy, where is security, where is the line between and how far we can move the line to privacy or to security, where we have to put the line. We need just information which actually give the service for citizens, and our main goal. We don't want to be involved in privacy life, but security of public places, security of our city, and also the smart city is first of all is a service what we deliver for our citizens.
Okay, Paul, I want to ask you. It's very easy. We talk now about terrorism or crime or kidnapping of babies. That's easy because everyone will agree that it's a crime that we should prevent. But life is more complicated than that, and organizations gather a lot of information which is not essential. So A, do we have to do it? B, how do we protect it? Because we speak, the topic here is where do we draw the line between security and privacy? But even if I believe that the bank keeps my privacy, someone can break cyber-wise into the bank and take my privacy away from me. So even if the bank is trying very hard to keep me safe, I'm not safe. And if I go one level up, we're going through elections now in Israel that you are trying to guard. How do you do it? How do you do it? And how do you, this whole world of trying to influence citizens, it's a whole new world that we weren't aware of a few years ago. So did we lose our hands and legs in this new world?
Well, it's an interesting question and not so simple to answer. But I will try to emphasize some of the ideas that my colleagues here talked about. First of all, let's agree that every organization collects as much data as he can in order to give us the services or the benefits that he meant to do. The honored professor here mentioned that there is a security by design. So one part of our responsibility as the Israeli National Cyber Directorate is to escort the municipalities and give them best practices and give them or guide them to protect data as much as they can. There are some principles that we are being led by. For example, the need-to-know basis. You ask the mayor how much data he would like to collect. And the collection should be, I think, at a maximum. The usage should be on a need-to-know basis. You have to put some controls on those people who deal with the data, on those people who are gaining the story or the information out of the data. And you should look for the Archimedes point. I'm not sure that it's a line. It's a point that should make a balance between the different needs. The need for security, the need for services, and from the other side, the need for privacy. Privacy, it's an issue. It's a big issue. We are dealing with it all the time. In my position, I'm responsible of giving the response for cyber attacks in a nation scale. Each time that I try to help an organization...
Just explain, what's a nation scale? If a bank is attacked, it's a nation scale. If the electric company is attacked, it's a nation. If a municipality, if the traffic lights in Tel Aviv are attacked, it's a nation scale?
So there are some, you can categorize them. Criteria. For example, let's take the critical infrastructure. They are the most important organization that you should protect. If it's one bank, maybe it's not a nation concern, but if it's the financial sector, for example, it should be a nation concern. So each time we as a national authority should interfere or should gain our capabilities to protect, we are dealing with the same issue. How you're doing the best security or best incident response activities as you can, and from the other hand, how you still keeping the privacy safe and not making an abuse out of the data. So it's a big issue. Each part has to compromise a little bit in order to make the things right. Each time you are going to the all the way to one part, you will lose the other part. So I believe it's an Archimedes point that we should look for it in all our activities.
Just a quick follow-up on that. We have representatives here from half the world. All nations are threatened by cyber, or the more you are advanced, the more naked you are? How does it work?
Well, cyber, it's a dimension that is being created by human beings. It's not here by nature. We created it. And the actions in the cyber world are being led by technology, computers, digital, and etc. So as much you are more advanced, as much as you are relying on more technology, it's as much as you are being naked. So if you are a very advanced nation like US, Israel, UK, France, Germany, etc., you are more exposed to cyber attacks, you're more exposed to, you have more assets to lose. And that's why you should invest more in protecting your assets, protecting your data. And I believe that every nation will get there. It's only a matter of time. So if you are not there yet, so security by design will give you the advantage to do it right.
Till, I'll get back to you in a second, but I want to ask the mayor before. You were attacked. Cyber, we spoke of your use of information, etc., to protect your people, but you, on top, were attacked, the city, the state of Ukraine, etc. How do you protect yourself? What do you do?
Here, right now, representative of municipality. It's a good question for security service. We are not security service, we are municipal representative who delivers service for our citizens. And yes, of course, we have a lot of discussion where the privacy, it's good or bad to doing the examples with video camera protection. Actually, people support and this direction of development of this direction, and we have very good feedback of people. The parents is happy if the child go to play in the ground, in the street. They know he's very secure. If something happens, they have full information. Personal data is a much more question for security service. It's not the question of municipality. We are responsible.
No, but I was referring, sorry to interfere, but to something bigger. The citizens in Kiev want to get their electricity, they want to get their water, they want to get everything, but if someone attacks you, cyber-wise, from on top, he can stop, you cannot serve your people. How do you protect, not the people, how do you protect yourself?
Yes, of course, our IT department work pretty hard to protect our full information, and also digital protection is very important question in modern world, and we use the news technology to protect. We understand, we use the knowledge and experience of another cities. We use new technology, and actually our experts told we are protect. I believe them. I'm not expert in IT.
I will tell you, Paul will tell you, no one's protected in this new world. There are levels, but you know, it's ladders and fences. The bigger the fence is, the higher the ladder will be.
I know exactly. Our data center is saved, and they is protect, and whole information what we receive is secure. It's main answer what I receive from our experts.
Paul will tell you what our friends in Unit A200 say, that there is no target that cannot be penetrated in the cyber world. Right. It's only a matter of how much money, people, brain you put into it,
Motivation.
Right? Motivation. Taylor, I want to go back to you. Make some sense into everything that we've been talking about. This new world that it seems, Paul said, and I like the way he put it, it's a new dimension that people created, unlike, you know, air, terrain, and sea. That's the new dimension.
And God, you forgot God.
That's bigger than me. But how do we put sense into this new dimension that seems to take us all?
Okay, so let me refer to a few points before we're summing up. First of all, I think it's a complex issue. On the one hand, we want to enhance security. And in order to enhance security, we need to have surveillance. And in order to create surveillance, we need to infringe privacy. Sometimes we even want to create surveillance in order to protect our privacy. So all this together really puts us in a very, very delicate place, which I think the basic issue here is a good legal framework. I can tell you honestly that, for example, Israel, which is well known to be a startup nation, is very well behind in terms of its legal framework. The Cyber Directorate, which Paul actually represents here, functions without any legal framework. Our privacy law is very well behind and outdated. That's why I've been leading a group of experts during the past 2 years in order to offer a new privacy bill for Israel. It has to do with propaganda laws before elections, with all the privacy aspects of creating, as I said before, traps on our autonomy before elections. So the public discussion, which is being reflected in a good legal framework, I think is a very, very important issue here. That's the one thing. The second thing I wanted to to mention here is the fact that we need both education and transparency. If you want to create a good smart city that takes into consideration privacy issues, you need to be able to support your citizen with the following information. You need to tell them, for example, what data is being collected, how it's being monitored, how it's being used, to whom it's being sold, what will be done with it in the future. All those questions are really important. And they are important in terms of education because, as the Honorable Mayor has mentioned, usually citizens are very, very satisfied with security in the short term, but they don't always understand the longer term effects. And let me give you just one more example. We are very happy to give our medical or our health data in order to advance precise and predictive medicine. We are even willing to implement, let's say, nanobots inside our blood system in order to monitor all kinds of diseases. We do that because we kind of assume that all this information is going to be anonymized. So no one is actually will be able to connect between my personal identity or my real identity and the health data within a huge data set. Well, this is not correct because we know today that AI techniques can allow de-anonymization and re-anonymization of all this health data. And then what's going to happen during the day when you go to your physician and you can't really tell him anything about the hallucinations that you had yesterday night because you know that all this data is going to be out there and your insurance company will know it. So I think we need to be more educated, not only about the data itself, but rather the future uses of this data. And in this sense, I think, and sorry for the comparison, and I'm going to finish up with that. Just like with cigarettes, it took us, think about 3 generations ago. 3 generations ago, you would go to your doctor and he would tell you, take a cigarette, it's going to make you healthier. And then it took another generation for us to understand that it was harmful. And then it took another generation for us to understand that in the public sphere we should forbid people from smoking. The same thing is going to happen with privacy. We're collecting everything we can now. We don't really understand the consequences. It's going to take another generation for us to understand that there are certain types of information that should not be collected whatsoever. We're not talking, so first of all, we're talking about genetics, we're talking about health data, and we're talking about other types of hyper-personal information, because those kind of information are going to really harm society in the wider level, both by creating autonomy traps and by not allowing us to function as
good luck to us with that.
No, but I'm just saying, who could have believed, like 3 generations ago, that the same thing would happen with cigarettes? Think about the power of the tobacco companies. So in this sense, I think the biggest question we need to ask ourselves while designing smart cities is what exactly is necessary, is really necessary in order to exercise better and more efficient municipalities, and what we do just because we can, or what data do we collect just because we can. And then one more sentence to finish up with. Technologically, this is a data-based economy. I understand this. AI systems are training themselves on this data. But within 5 years, and allow me to try to be some kind of a prophet here, I might be wrong, this data will not be necessary anymore, because the machines are going to be intelligent enough to function without the data they need to practice on. And then what's going to happen with all this data that we've been collecting? Who's going to take care of it? What kind of social implications are we going to have by collecting all this?
Okay, thank you for that. Just one more, we have to sum up, but a quick question, Paul. We're going through an election campaign in Israel. How much concerned, as an expert, are you that those elections will be, I don't know, influenced, interfered by locals, foreign organizations, government? We heard the head of the Israeli Secret Service speaking openly about it. Is it right here and now, and should we be concerned?
So I think that the risks are being known. We all can assume what kind of risks we are confronting. We can learn about it just looking outside of other countries and how they deal with those risks. We believe that there are some motivations driven by countries, organizations, and others to interfere, to influence, and to make sure that the democratic process will not be safe. So
Will be safe.
we are trying to make it safe, so,
Yeah.
but they're concerned that it won't be. The Israeli agencies, all of them, the ICA, our directorate, and others, are working together, analyzing the threats, trying to understand from other nations' experience what they have been gone through while they are while they manage their democratic process, and by this we're trying to implement all this knowledge in order to make our democratic process safe.
So I want to thank all speakers, Tehila Altshuler, Mayor Klitschko, and Paul Moskovich for joining me here. Give them a hand.